Hello.
Hi, Chef Winnie. It's Eric from Locals Only. How are you?
Great. How about you, Eric?
Good. Hey, I'm just around the corner from Smoke Queen. I'm going to come by and pick you up. Is that okay?
Sure. I'm ready for you.
All right. I'm in a white Mercedes. I'll meet you right out front. Hey, welcome to Locals Only. I'm Eric Hale. And if you don't know me, I'm the guy that founded Local Magazine 14 years ago in my garage. It's been my job for all those years to tell you the coolest places to eat in all of Southern California, fun things to do so you have date nights that aren't boring, and we've talked to some really interesting people. Now we have a podcast, and we're lucky enough to call this Mercedes-Benz EQE all-electric sedan, courtesy of Fletcher Jones Motorcars in Newport Beach, our mobile podcast studio. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the conversation. Welcome to Locals Only. Today on Locals Only, we're in Garden Grove, and we're picking up Chef Winnie Yee from Smoke Queen BBQ. In the past 4 years, she went from smoking brisket in her backyard and selling it on Facebook to appearing with Bobby Flay on the Kelly Clarkson Show and being covered by the New York Times. As we drive around today, we're going to talk about her starting that small business, her Chinese-Malaysian heritage, and much, much more. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy Locals Only. Come on in. Yeah, there you. Yeah, right.
Hello. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at this fancy car.
Jump in.
Hello.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, I'll
Eric.
put this down now. All right. So
This is the EQE.
this is the EQE.
Cool.
Fletcher Jones Motorcars gives us this, and it's our mobile podcast studio. So we have 3 cameras. You have your camera. There's one in the middle and one here.
Can I take a selfie?
Oh, of course you can.
This is so cool. I've never been in a mobile podcast studio.
So today we are with Chef Winnie. Now, how do I say your last name?
It's Winnie Yee.
Just Yee, because I know there was a hyphen I saw somewhere. So Winnie Yee,
Yes.
and she is the chef of Smoke Queen BBQ.
Mm-hmm.
You might have seen her on the Kelly Clarkson Show.
Mm-hmm.
You might have seen her on Chopped.
Yep.
Or on some barbecue shows on the Food Network,
Yep.
possibly.
Yes.
So I think what I'm most interested in is hearing this story, because I'll lead with this.
Okay.
We'll talk about barbecue a little bit, and then we get into some other things. We do a lot of stories about barbecue, and there's some really good barbecue places in California. But it's one of those things that everybody has an opinion about, and nobody thinks that California or anything other than super traditional barbecue counts as good food, no matter how great it tastes.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing compares to something else they've had. How have you managed dealing with that?
There are people who have their tunnel vision on what they think barbecue should be, and then there are people who have a more open mind to what barbecue can be. And for those people with the tunnel vision, all I have to say is barbecue to me, and it could be different for everybody, but to me, it's live fire cooking, and live fire cooking has been done since the beginning of time,
Right.
in every single corner of this earth.
Right.
So it doesn't belong to one specific region or one specific people. We all have our different ways to do live fire cooking. There's just different styles. So claim your style as your own, and I'll claim mine as my own.
And also, you can always, if you're not sure if it stacks up, instead of just maybe commenting, actually come and try it and see what you think of it, right?
And if you don't like it, don't come back.
Don't come back.
That's all.
Isn't that a great way to do it, instead of just being a warrior in the comments saying what's good and what's bad without even trying it?
Yeah, there are those people there. There were a lot of keyboard warriors when I started, especially when they found out I'm female. I'm Asian, I'm from California, I'm not from Texas, not from Kansas City or South Carolina.
You didn't check any of the boxes, right?
No, not at all. So I'm just the opposite of what you think a pitmaster should be. And to those people, I just, at first it actually really hurt, because how come these people who don't even know you have this like strong opinion or strong feelings against you, right? But at the same time, I grew from that, and I started to grow thick skin, and I realized, you know what? I don't even know if these people exist.
Yeah, right.
So it really doesn't matter what they think of me. Should I change the way I'm doing things because these people say something, negative about the way I'm doing my barbecue? No, I'm just gonna do what I want to do. And like I said, I've said this a lot of times. People vote with their feet. People vote with their wallets.
Yes.
So you don't like it, don't buy it.
Right.
That's it.
Well,
If you like it, come back.
So I know the courage it takes to put
Mhm.
yourself out there and to try something new,
Mhm.
because you don't have
No.
your name's not Bubba. You're not from Texas.
No,
It's not a family tradition,
no.
and you had to go out and learn it, which I think is even more impressive.
I think because I had to go out and learn it, because I had no idea what barbecue really was,
Right.
my mind was really open to different things, to new ways. Like you respect the old ways and the traditions, but then you're open to the new ways and the new style, new school of thought, I guess. And that's a good blessing in disguise, I guess,
Yeah.
because then I'm not just stuck in that one way, and I'm not thinking, okay, this is how my grandma used to do it, this is how my grandpa used to do it, and this is how it should be done. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, there's so many ways to barbecue, so many ways to express yourself through barbecue, and I think that's what it really is. It is a cooking technique where you express yourself.
Right. And I am all for that. I truly believe that no matter what something is, everything is meant to be improved on. And some things, you can't improve on this guy's certain recipe, but maybe that guy never had access to a spice from China or something from India or something from Mexico. And maybe that's really what it needed to make it stand out or be different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's all based on demographics and upbringing,
Yeah.
and family traditions.
So, just going back to kind of how this started a little bit, you're not the first pandemic era business that we've talked about. A lot of people thought that was such a tough era, and it was really tough for a lot of people, right? Both health crisis, business crisis, there was a lot that happened.
Yep.
It also, I think, opened up people's eyes to new opportunities in a lot of ways. I started painting, for example. We've talked to businesses that started selling fried chicken out of their backyard, and then all of a sudden they have a brick and mortar and they're doing great. Tell us, you don't have to go into it to detail, but how did that change in the business economy and the world affect you to spur you in this direction?
So pre-pandemic, I have been a restaurateur since 2009. I run and operate fast food restaurants next to the convention center in Anaheim.
Okay.
And when the pandemic hit, literally we got the letter from the health department saying we have to basically close if you're non-essential.
Yeah.
And so conventions were not essential, and they shut down. Literally, we got the letter at 3:00, and we shut down immediately because the next convention was the following morning.
There's
and
no
that was
business.
just canceled. It
Yeah,
was
there's no
canceled
business.
with no notice. There's no business. So we had to close.
And your stomach just drops. It's like we say it so easily now, but it's like I felt this way. We kind of felt like maybe, because my business is similar, that the world was ending. Like that was it.
The world was ending, yes. And
for our businesses.
Yeah, I remember that day we had about $15,000 worth of food come in, delivered in our walk-ins. And the next morning, I had to shut down that afternoon, and then I told everybody to come back tomorrow, the following day, to get their paychecks. We gave them their paychecks. We told them, take the food, take the produce, take whatever. We were bagging everything up, bags and bags of groceries.
Yeah.
They just took it home because we couldn't return it.
Right.
And I helped a couple of them apply for EDD because they didn't have access to a computer. And I basically lied to them and said, we'll see you in 2 weeks, because that's what the government was telling me.
Yeah.
Well, no, I knew it wasn't going to be 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but I had to be hopeful and I had to be strong for them and tell them 2 weeks. And I remember that day I drove home just crying, sobbing, uncontrollably, because the very first time in my life I had no control. Yeah. So, but having said that, I've been a working mom and running multiple businesses. I never had the time to be creative. And these restaurants I had were franchises.
They're just, you
Cookie
just do
cutter.
the same thing. Cookie cutter's the best way. Every day, the same thing.
I couldn't change the menu, couldn't change the recipe, could not do anything different than what was the standard procedures.
Right.
And I never had that creative outlet I needed, because I'm actually a pretty creative person. And I always thought this would be so cool. I remember following somebody on Instagram. They were a barbecue concept. And I was like, oh, this is so cool that they're this is their side gig. They're selling on the weekends.
Yeah.
If only I had the time. I would love to create a concept. It would be my baby, it would just be
And then God heard your prayer and said, here's 6 months. Go ahead and make your business.
Well, yeah, I didn't at that time. It was terrible, but then I didn't see it. Now I see it's a blessing in disguise because I really needed to like cancel everything out, noise cancel everything out, and just focus on what I really wanted to do. Focus on my creativity.
So did you I'm just imagining, you're like, okay, I'm gonna try barbecue. I saw it on Instagram, never really done it before. Let's go put my mask on, go to an essential store, get my meat, come home and figure this out? Or did you start watching YouTube videos? Like, how do we get there?
So summer 2020, there was a meat shortage, and every 2 weeks I would go out and get groceries, like literally with my hazmat suit on, right? And so we can only get one piece of meat, and I was at Costco, so of course I get the largest piece of meat, which was the brisket. And I was like, I've had smoked brisket before. Let's see if I can smoke it. And
so you have a smoker already, or did you have to go get that too?
No. I had a ceramic smoker that I didn't know how to use. I only used it to grill steaks. And even when I grilled steaks, I didn't know that I had to burn down the charcoal.
Right.
And it was, when it was flaming, I'm like, oh yeah, it's ready. I'm going to throw the steak on.
You were horrible at barbecue by your admission.
Terrible, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I only use that barbecue pit twice to grill steaks, and after that I was like, why does it taste like kerosene? So
hey, I've been there, done that. I am not great at it.
I'm just gonna use a pan.
Okay, so we're giving a lot of inspiration here, people, because we're talking 4 years ago. You are just inexperienced and can't make a steak, and cut two. You put your mind to something.
I can make a good steak, but on a stove.
On a stove, okay. But cut two. You've gone from not knowing how to use something to
really
being the smoke queen, being on Eater LA and Kelly Clarkson Show, and everybody wanting to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like that's like, maybe you did 4 years of college to get there, but that's really impressive. Maybe take us through that progression a little bit.
So my first brisket sucked. It was really bad. It was burnt on the bottom because I didn't understand what's direct heat and what's indirect heat.
Okay.
And then I did more research online, and there were a lot of
Who told
YouTube
you it
channels.
sucked? Did you say it, or did your family? Everybody.
Nobody wanted to eat it. So I started researching because I had too much time on my hands.
Yeah.
And it was a really great distraction from my financial situation.
Yeah.
I really owe a lot to the art of barbecue, because I remember waking up every morning, it's like, this is on my mind. This is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to hunt for a brisket, and then I'm going to figure this out,
Really? I love that.
Yeah.
When did you make your first good one? How long did it take?
So I think it was like, I started in, I don't remember, like early summer, maybe it was May or June.
Yeah.
But then my first brisket I sold was first week of August.
Okay.
And right before then, my friend told me just to join a Facebook group and like start a page on Instagram and Facebook and just post. And that's what I did. And I was able to sell 6 whole pounds of brisket, and I was so happy.
You sold 6 pounds of brisket on your Facebook group.
Yeah, my first customer, her name was Winnie, and it was just so funny. And she's like, okay, what's your Venmo? I'm like, wait a minute, you're gonna pay me now with the promise that I'll show up? Okay, cool.
and did she like it? Were you happy? Were you happy with it? Or
okay?
And how different is that than what you do now?
Okay, past Winnie was very happy with the results of that brisket.
Yeah.
Current Winnie would have been like, "This is crap. This is nowhere near what it should be."
Yeah.
Of course, you live and learn, and I maxed out at 2 briskets with that smoker. And it.
But you were selling out now through the Facebook group.
Yeah, six whole pounds, Eric.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Gone.
So then I went to Costco one day, and there was a Traeger road show.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, God's speaking to me. I'm going to take 2 smokers here.
Oh, you got 2 Traegers.
Because I can only fit 3 in one.
Okay, so now you're doing 6
So
briskets.
I'm doing 6, and then if I really needed to, I could do another one in my ceramic. Doing 2 in the ceramic was no good. There's no airflow, so really just 1.
The Traeger kind of takes those pellets and moves them around.
Yeah. So I built my business on a Traeger. I know there are people who are like, pellet smoker, that's not real smoking, blah 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 blah.
Right.
whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
There's so many different barbecue vessels, and that's just one of them. And I'm not the type that would hate if you think that's real barbecue, because it is. Whatever it is, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, there's always going to be the barbecue elitist, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So now you're just going like crazy. What?
Yes.
So how did you get from? And I think you can see that kind of growth of success. How did you get from there to opening up? Because I think you went the route of pop-up. You went the route of, you got the wonderful invitation to be at Smorgasburg, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So at that time, only essential businesses were allowed to open. Breweries were not essential unless they served food.
Okay.
So the only way they can serve food is actually through a food truck or a pop-up or whatever. So I went to every brewery I could find. I started messaging them like crazy, throwing myself out there shamelessly, and saying, hey, you know what, I want to pop up, let me help you, blah, blah, blah. And I even told them, like, you know what, if you have a beer that you can't sell, give me some and I'll make a barbecue sauce out of it. And that will be your exclusive thing.
Amazing.
So I had to think of creative ideas to make myself stand out, to make my food different than everybody else. And of course there are days where we had to eat our own profits, literally. And that's
standing out. Let me ask you about that, because you do have Chinese and Malaysian heritage, even though you were born here.
No, I was born in Malaysia.
Oh, you were born in Malaysia.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
I thought you said you were born in California.
No, I lived here since I was 6.
All right, but you were born there. So
Yeah.
but you do have Chinese and Malaysian roots.
Yeah.
So how do you incorporate that? That's what I'm really understanding, because there's so many neat spices. So your sauces, to me, I mean the barbecue, but I love a good sauce, right? And I love the spice rubs and all of that. That's what's fun.
So in the beginning, when I started Smoke Queen, I tried to be very generic, very American. I hadn't been to Texas yet or Kansas City. I've had barbecue here, but never been there to have their authentic barbecue. So I tried not to claim what I don't know, but at the same time, I was really timid on letting my customers know who I am, and that, I'm female, Asian, and just not an expert in barbecue, right? So I got bored doing that. And I thought one day, let me just put some Chinese spices with the pork belly and just try it out, because a lot of my customers at that time, there were some repeat, but there were a lot of Asian customers. So I thought, okay, let me just do a pork belly char siu. So char siu is roasted pork, usually the shoulder, and it's a Cantonese style barbecue where it's kind of, it's traditionally in-ground pit where there's charcoal
Fire,
below.
right?
Yes,
And
charcoal below. So it's direct heat. It's roasted on a high heat.
Right.
It usually takes about 1-2 hours or so.
I'm thinking of Cantonese duck, where you see it like on an open
it's
flame
hung. It's hung.
right?
It's same. Yeah, same concept. But
right.
the pork shoulder or other parts of the pork is cut into strips, and it's skewered and hung.
Okay.
And that is char siu.
Okay.
So what I did was I took the seasoning, the rub, I made my own sauce from scratch, and I did not Americanize any of that.
Good.
So it's not watered down, I guess.
Yeah. Very bold
very
flavors.
pungent and unapologetically Chinese. And I thought, you know what? Let me just smoke it with the, traditional American way.
Yeah.
Low and slow, and that's what I did.
Okay.
I cut the belly into like little slabs, and then I sliced it like a brisket. And one day I got an email from a photographer saying I need to set up an appointment for the New York Times. I was like, okay,
Whoa.
You are scamming me and I'm not buying. Who the heck are you?
Wait, I'm literally roasting in my backyard on a Traeger from Costco.
Yep.
And you're telling me you want me in the New York Times.
So he's like, oh, we have a food critic, a restaurant critic that liked your food, and she's going to write about you. And I was like, okay,
wow.
What's her name? And he's like, I can't tell you because she has to remain
Please
anonymous.
tell me it's Winnie.
No. The writer.
Okay.
So,
yeah. No, I was thinking your first customer.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Yeah.
But so he's like, no, call my editor. This is legit. I even told him, like, are you scamming me?
I would think so. Yeah, right. That would be my first thought too.
Yeah. So anyways, I called the editor. He confirmed, and we did the photo shoot. And then a couple weeks later, the article came out. I think it's called like something about, you know, how California California has a new style of barbecue, and we're just doing our own thing. And me and my business was featured on amongst other businesses in California. And it was specifically my pork belly char siu, and she loved it. Amazing. She actually ordered it 2 weeks in a row. And that really that was a signal for me to lean
into that, right?
Yes. To really be who I am and express who I am through my food.
Did that, because I feel like you were at that point then, you were like, okay, let me be a little bit of a scientist. But maybe that wasn't what you were doing, because it seems like you were going traditional and leaning into traditional. So you didn't have to reinvent the Chinese spice wheel, because there were already dishes that you could try to recreate as a fusion kind of.
So the thing I really love about this dish, the pork belly or my pork belly char siu, is that it's 100% Chinese in terms of the ingredients, but the way we smoke it is American. That's right? Cool. And it's a reflection of who I am, because I'm not pure Chinese now. I don't, like, if you throw me in China, I would be lost. I can't read, I can't write, I can speak a little bit, but it's, you know, I don't belong there. I'm not full American. I'm, you know, I have my traditions and my upbringing that makes me who I am. And so I'm neither one or the other. I'm Asian American. So that's how I see my food, as being not just one or the other, but both. I want my food to be something that, you know, somebody from the Midwest will come and see, okay, this is presented very traditionally, like very familiar.
Silver tray.
Yeah, it's familiar to me. Yeah. But then when I taste it, oh, this is like gateway food.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And also on the other end of the spectrum, I want people like my parents, who are like immigrants who don't speak perfect English, look at this and like, oh, it's presented differently, but when they taste it, and oh, it tastes like home.
Oh, that's, you know? I love that. That is really, that's such a great sentiment and a great way to think about it. And really, we started off this conversation talking about the haters and the very picky eaters and the people that want to put you into a certain slot.
Yeah.
But I think the way that you've explained it is, let's make food that everybody enjoys, and they can find their own rationale and reasoning for why they like it, right?
Yeah. Like traditional barbecue is served with bread as their carbohydrate. So I do not serve bread.
Which seems like a lot anyway, because you're already getting a lot of food. Bread seems to take up a lot of space.
Like in Texas, they like to wrap the meat in white bread, which is good, you know.
Yeah, white bread,
But for me, well, we do have brioche buns in our restaurant. Okay. One of the sides is chicken rice. So it's Hainan chicken rice, so there's no actual pieces of chicken in there. It's just rice pilaf made with
rice
chicken.
Stock or chicken stock.
Yes, chicken stock or chicken seasoning. Yeah. So us Chinese, we have to have rice with everything. So that's why
it's a staple, right?
Yes, that's why I have that as one of my sides. And some people still are not, what's the word? Like, haven't gotten used to not having bread with their barbecue.
Right.
So
they're going to have to.
Well, we have brioche buns that we carry for our sandwiches, and they can just order the buns on the side. But
some people still go to Mexican food restaurants and order chicken tenders. It's just, you know, you're never gonna please everybody. Yeah. So that's awesome. Maybe now, because we're gonna kind of head back that direction. We're turning around here on Garden Grove Boulevard. I want to get into. I would love to get into where you are now. Right, because you went from, you got the acclaim, the notoriety, things started really happening for you. We've mentioned some of those great things. Where are you at now? Because this is a pretty unique thing in Garden Grove, because you're in kind of part of a community, not in a shopping mall.
So when I started this concept, I thought, you know what, it's got to be the way it has to be, and I'm not going to compromise. Otherwise, why do it, right?
Right.
And I didn't want to be in a strip mall. I didn't want to be another Dickey's. I didn't want to be Lucille's Barbecue or Tony Roma's or any of those mass chain restaurants. I wanted it to be small, very close to the community, and just special.
Yeah. What are I read that you have names for your three smokers. Is that true?
Yes. Sheena, she's a punk rocker. Yeah. That's from a song. Romulus and Remus, the twins who discovered rum.
Oh my gosh.
And I let my pitmaster name all three of them. His name is Jared. So I was like, you know what? They're yours. They're yours to work on, to maintain. You name them.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
we're getting close back here, and for those of you that are listening now, we are gonna also be putting up an Instagram reel where we actually look at some of the location in a little bit more depth and maybe show you the final product.
Yeah, I'm excited to show you guys.
I want to thank Chef Winnie so much for being our guest today. That was a really fun conversation.
My pleasure.
I absolutely loved it. I want to thank everyone on the Straw Hut Media team, including executive producer Ryan Tillotson and our editor and producer Parker J. Hicks. And as always, a big thank you to Fletcher Jones Motor Cars in Newport Beach for providing this beautiful Mercedes-Benz EQE to be our rolling podcast studio. Join us next time on Locales Only, where you can buckle up and go for a ride in our mobile podcast studio with some of the coolest people in Southern California.